Star Wars Andor, you stand before this court accused of 1. Knowingly committing identity fraud, 2. Willful emotional negligence, and 3. Perpetrating cruel and unusual pacing. Prosecution contends you attempted to gain entry to our hearts by means of deception, flashing fake credentials. You had the logo, the font, and the familiar character name, but these were superficial, a cover under which to smuggle a lesser brand of entertainment. One with no mythos, no force, no family torn by fate, only a depressing industrial sci-fi aesthetic with muted greys, corporate jobsworths, and the slow procedural drip of rebellion. They say you gave us pain without connection, characters so emotionally distant their joys and sorrows had all but redshifted beyond the edge of the observable universe. At the centre of this lay Cassian Andor, an emotional dead zone, drifting through the story like mist. His relationships with friends Bix and Brasso feel transactional. His mother dies and he barely twitches. His entry into rebellion is all circumstance, no conviction. There's no yearning, no spark. He aches for nothing. They recognise you gave us strong performances. Luthen, Mon Mothma, Dedra, Cyril, Lonnie, but often too intellectual and sterile, rarely tethered emotionally to Andor himself, feeling like scenes from a different show. The disjointed structure mirrored the issue, segmented arcs, delayed payoffs, and a mounting sense of disconnection, stretched even thinner by glacial pacing. They point to entire subplots, scenes and characters that reeked of padding, Cyril's mother a prime offender, as if the writers abandoned storytelling to settle a bet on who could trigger the biggest global cringe. They spoke of how Season 1 opened with a 3-part coma, stretching a single plot beat out into a pointless crawl to the real story. Season 2 refused to be outdone, upping the boredom stakes by benching its lead so we could watch a gang of stranded arseholes resolve their differences with rock, paper, who gives a fuck. They don't deny you crafted a beautiful shell, but insist you forgot the soul, a flame that flickered instead of burning. And for a show about rebellion, that absence cut deep. Human feeling lost beneath the cold execution of grand ideas, and any warmth that existed arriving too late to matter. Additionally, they object to a series of bizarre creative choices, including but not limited to a cold open in a brothel, a droid with a stutter, and a protagonist who forgets he's looking for his sister, an arc abandoned rather than resolved. The defence has branded these accusations scandalous, an affront to ambition, blind to subtlety, ignorant to the skill required to expand and enrich a faltering franchise, levelled by those who crave the constant golden shower of nostalgia to feel safe and warm. They say Andor's passion was becoming. Rebellion doesn't always begin with fire, it must first be lit. What the prosecution calls absence was in truth the point. Cassian was no rebel, he was a runner, not driven by principle, but not without potential. So the fire was first found elsewhere, with Luthen, unsparing and relentless, driven by passions initially unknown. For him, rebellion isn't romance or revenge, it's atonement, a sentence endlessly prosecuted by his own conscience. Penance for a debt that could never be repaid, only carried to the end. And in this oppressive imperial world, though pressure builds to produce cold and sterile figures like Dedra and Portagaz, others still burn, though not all alike. Cyril is Andor's mirror, fired by certainty, loyal to the wrong cause, tragically only to realise too late. Mon Mothma walks a knife edge between tradition and treason, her flame concealed beneath etiquette, and some like Lonnie quietly break, guilt leaking through like a crack under pressure. There was heroism, fashioned realistically, set against evil prosecuted through carefully crafted layers of culpability. The Empire was not yet fully monstrous. Most didn't know what the Death Star was. Evil here came dressed as order. People believed in it. That's how it spread. They point to the show investing where it mattered, in characters and writing. Cast out with the copy-paste VFX and deepfake nostalgia bait. Gone were the cutesy merch-ready mascots, but the money was still on screen. Environments grounded and convincing, setting the stage for a story that dared to be smart and intricate, and brave enough to defy those who cling to the past, instead using it to carve out a better future for Star Wars. They claim it was absorbing in its own right, so much so you could forget what came next. It didn't just serve the needs of a predetermined future, it made the old films feel like sequels, a rare feat, and one that deepened their greatness. I have heard your case. Rarely has a show from such a prestigious lineage demanded such deliberation. You had a troubled beginning, striving to build something grounded and real, yet still part of a galaxy far, far away. It took time. The warmth came late, and yes, the myth was faint. But when the moment arrived, it was clear you delivered something profound to Star Wars, whilst raising the bar for modern television storytelling. This court recognised that you learned from your early missteps. The helpless inevitability of the Gorman massacre was a triumph, an answer to every smug voice of the present, certain that they'd have stood up to the evil of the past, because here, some did see it coming, and it changed nothing. The end felt natural. Characters let go like paper boats set adrift, some bound for known shores, others fading into the fog. This was no mere backfill or a money grab. You connected the worlds of the prequels and the original trilogy organically. You didn't just explain the past, you became the present and prepared the future. Star Wars Andor, you are hereby cleared of all charges. But be warned, you leave here absolved, not untouched. This court took note as you flirted with mediocrity, banking on brand loyalty already overdrawn. Maybe not your debt, but your balance all the same. The doubt was well earned. You're a free man, Andor, but make no mistake. The next Star Wars story that walks through these doors better know who he is and why we should care from the start. This court is adjourned. The Honourable Judge Confusiasm, out.